Namaskar children, good morning. So I hope children you are clear with the contraceptive methods which we studied in the last class. Now let us move on to the next part, which is the medical termination of pregnancy or MTP. So as the name says, it is a medical method which has to be done by a proper physician. So what is this MTP? It is intentional or voluntary termination of pregnancy. Right? So it is intentional or voluntary. It means that it has to be done with the will of the parents. That women, her husband, they should accept that they are ready for this method. So it is an intentional or voluntary termination. What is termination? It is to end pregnancy. That is, termination of pregnancy means it is, they are ready to end the pregnancy process which happens inside the women before full term. So after a particular month, so you know that 9 months a woman has to carry the fetus in her body. That is, in her uterus, the baby will be growing until the 9th month. And this termination process can be done in the women's body only till certain months. It cannot be done at any time, right? So only till the 12th week of pregnancy or about a few more weeks later, this process can be done in the women. So before the full term means completely grown fetus cannot undergo this technique. So before the fetus is fully grown, before the pregnancy is reaching its full term, this technique can be used, right? So it is called as MTP or induced abortion. Abortion is the removal of fetus. And what is induced abortion? It is done medically with the consent of the parents of that fetus, right? So that is called as MTP or induced abortion. Understood it? So nearly about 45 to 50 million MTPs are performed in a year all over the world. That means that about 1/5 of total number of conceived pregnancies in a year is terminated through this method, right? So as we know, when there is termination of pregnancy, obviously this has a very great role to play in population, right? So MTP helps to decrease the population. So it has a very significant role to decrease the population because it ends the pregnancy. And when the pregnancy is ended, automatically a child is not born, right? So it helps to decrease the population, though it is not meant for this purpose. So this method is not carried out for reducing the population, but it has a significant role to play in decreasing the population. And whether to accept or to legalize this process, even now many countries, they are debating on this because it includes emotional, ethical, religious and social issues in this. So that is why many countries have not legalized this process. They are just even debating about to make it legalized in their country. Okay, and the reason for that is it includes emotional, ethical, religious and social issues in it, right? But the government of India, they have legalized this MTP in the year 1971, and that too is done with some strict conditions, right? Strict conditions are kept to avoid misuse of this legalization, right? So legalization means it is a law which can be it is a law which can be done. So it is not illegal. Okay, it is a legal process now in India, but it has some strict conditions to avoid misuse. And for two main things they have put restriction, and such restriction are important to check indiscriminate, right? and illegal female feticide. What is this indiscriminate? It is nothing but without careful judgment. So this technique cannot be carried out in a woman without careful judgment. So the doctor should be very sure that this technique has to be done on particular women, right? And along with that, illegal female feticide also. So if the parents came to know that it is a female fetus, and if they want to terminate pregnancy due to this female fetus, then it is not legal. It will turn illegal. It is against the law. So that is why they have told, with some strict conditions, Indian government has made it legalized. And the two important things for Indian government to provide strict conditions are: one is indiscriminate, that is without careful judgment, this cannot be done, and same way illegal female feticide also, this cannot be done. And these two checkpoints are kept because India has a highest reported case of this female feticide and indiscriminate process happening, right? So that is why government has made these two important things as an strict condition to avoid. So they have kept these two important things as illegal, and legally it is accepted in India. Now let's see why MTP. So the reason here is to get rid of unwanted pregnancies. And when can these unwanted pregnancies happen? It can be due to casual intercourse or failure of the contraceptive device during sexual intercourse or rapes. So due to any of this condition, a woman is becoming pregnant and they don't really want to continue with the pregnancy, they can go on with medical termination of pregnancy. So they have to, the couples have to visit a doctor, they have to take the help of the doctor, and it is a medical thing, right? So it has to be done under a proper doctor's supervision, right? So they have to consult a doctor, they can carry on with the tech, right? So it is one reason for which the MTP can be used. And another essential place where this method is used is where continuation of pregnancy would be harmful to the mother or the fetus. So there can be certain pregnancies which can be harmful to the mother's body or to the fetus or to the growing fetus in the mother. In such cases, doctors will advise to terminate the pregnancy. Or sometimes growing of the fetus can affect both the fetus and the mother. So in either of these conditions, this MTP technique can be followed. In essential cases like the pregnancy which would be harmful to the mother or the fetus or the both, doctor themselves will recommend for MTP. So other than that, in any other conditions like this, a couple can go on with this MTP, right? And this MTPs are safe during the first trimester, that is up to 12 weeks of pregnancy. So after the 12 weeks of pregnancy, that is in the 12th trimester, abortions are very risky, which means that if this technique has to be done, it has to be done within the first trimester. And if a fetus is in the second trimester, it will be little risky, right? So it is risky because it can affect the mother's health, right? And in the third week and all, doctors will not go on with this technique. So it has to be done only in the first trimester. And if they do in the second trimester, these abortions will be little risky, right? On the side of the mother, her health might become very risky, right? So it is usually done during the first trimester. Now, what are the problems related with this MTPs? So we saw that the one disturbing trend which is observed is majority of these MTPs are performed illegally. Okay, and that too without a qualified doctor. So it is done illegally by unqualified doctors, which are not only safe but would be fatal too. Okay, so in India we see this in a very larger number. Okay, so when there is some unwanted pregnancy, people go to a illegal doctor, and illegal doctors, they will not cross check with anyone. They will move on with this termination process if money is given, but it can be fatal to women or that particular female who is undergoing this technique, and it is not safe also. Right, so this is one major problem which India is facing today. Right, so majority of the MTPs are performed illegally. And the second problem is misuse of this amniocentesis test. So we have learned the test. It is a test which is conducted to find the sex of the growing fetus. Right, so misuse of this amniocentesis test for fetal sex determination, and if the fetus is female, it is followed by MTP. Even in some rural parts of the India, this technique is being followed when the persons come to know that it is a female fetus, and such practices are dangerous for the young mother and fetus. Right, so what is this amniocentesis process? And in this process, some of the amniotic fluid of the fetus is taken and it is analyzed. Okay, it is analyzed for the fetal cell and the dissolved substances. And not only that, this test is done to check the presence of genetic disorders or survivability of the fetus. The main purpose for which it is done is to check the genetic disorders in the growing fetus and the survivability of the fetus. Right, but it is misused to find the fetus also. That is, if it is a female fetus, what people do, they just terminate the pregnancy. Okay, such practices are very dangerous for the young mother and the fetus. Right, so that is how the main problem comes here in India. So one is through illegal method people carry on this technique, and the other one is to misuse this technique. Right, so I hope you understood what it is. Right, so you can see how the termination of the fetus is done. What they do is they just they will cut the parts of the growing fetus and they will take up all these parts. Right, so it is a cruel thing and it should not be done unwantedly. That is why such laws are very strict, and government will take strict action against who do this illegally, and same way who are not doing this safely. And this is how the amniotic fluid is collected. It is collected with the help of a syringe, and this is used to check for the presence of genetic disorders in the growing fetus. Now let us just see the information fact about Amendment Act in 2017. So Government of India enacted the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Amendment Act 2017. It was it came to establish in the year 2017. Government of India, they enacted the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Amendment Act to reduce illegal abortion and subsequent maternal mortality and morbidity. So to reduce the illegal abortion and to avoid this maternal mortality, which means that female that is the women's death rate and morbidity, they came up with this act. Right, so according to this act, a pregnancy may be terminated within the first 12 weeks of the pregnancy. So here, so in the earlier law, it told that it became legal, and they brought about changes in the year 2017, where a pregnancy can be terminated within the first 12 weeks on an opinion of a registered medical practitioner. Right, so only with the registered doctor's advice this can be carried out in India. Only that is legal in India now. And if the pregnancy is between 12 to 24 weeks, 2 registered medical practitioners' opinion has to be taken. Only then the pregnancy can be terminated. So other than this, everything becomes illegal in India, right? So this is to prevent the illegal abortion and the consequent maternal mortality and morbidity. Okay, just it is an information fact about MTP, right? So how can we reduce this? By effective counseling on the need to avoid unprotected sexual intercourse and the risk factors involved in illegal abortions, as well as by providing some more healthcare facilities, this condition can be reversed, right? So by mentioning the unhealthy trend of what happens to a fetus when this abortion happens and all those things, people can be counseled well to prevent this method. Okay, that is the only way through which we can stop this illegal way of abortion, right? So this is what the medical termination of pregnancy. Now let us move on to the next part, which is the sexually transmitted diseases, that is STDs. Okay.